Okay, good afternoon all. Today we'll start our section with some more basic concepts in computers. In the last class, we have discussed about some basic definitions of what is computer and what is the architecture of the computer. And also we have seen different mechanisms of how the calculator is working. And last for the today's class, we are going to discuss about some more basics or some more concepts related to the computer. So please be concentrate on the some more basics which are related to our subject, that is computer organization. So let us share the today's concept here. So coming to some more basics concepts, already we have discussed in the last class. I want to deliver some more definitions of the concepts in this computer organization. And let us start with one more short overview. So why we want to understand about the computers before we are working on before it. So because as many of the people are still working with computers, so we want to be knowledge, we want to be understand the basic concepts regarding it. And let us see what is the definition of the computer once again. A computer is an electronic device that accepts the data, performs the operation on the data, presents the results, and store the data as needed and give the desired result. So already I have discussed in the last class, we want to give the input to the system. The system will do the processing with the help of the memory unit as well as the CPU. And finally, the CPU will again send back the information to the memory, and that output is get back into the result as a output operations. So these are the four basic operations we can see in any computer processing. That is input, processing, output, and storage. So what is inputting? Nothing but entering the data into the computer. So processing is nothing but performing the operations into the on the data. Output is nothing but presenting the results. So here storage in the sense saving data and our output to the for the further use. Now coming to the data section, we are having what is called what we want to identify that what is the difference between the data and as well as information. So both are same, but having a small differences. Let us see what is the difference between the data and the information. So a data, what is called a data in the sense, the raw information or the raw object, the raw data related to an object. So it can be term can be called as data. So here this data can be processed, which is used to create some meaningful information. And this data, whatever the data we are calling, nothing but they are called collection of facts, figures, or statistical information relating to any object or any organization. So with the help of this data, what the managers will do is the managers want to have an operations or successful mechanisms to evaluate the information, and it also used to make decisions for the future. And this data which are used for the generating the reports, graphs, statistics, etc. Let us come to an example of what is meant by data. So here let us take an example of our college or any other institution. The students fill an admission form when they get into the college. So what the form will contain? It contains the raw facts about the students. Nothing but the student names, father name, address, mobile number, etc. So by using this data, what we have collected, so we can use it for the future analysis or future updation of the student during the his entire education. So this is called this can be a best example of a data. Now coming to information. So what is called information? So the manipulated and the processed form of data can be called as information. Once again, the manipulated and processed form of data. That means once the data is gathered, so we want to do some process on it. That is, we want to do some manipulation, that is additions or any add-ons or any removals or any arrangements can be done on the data, and the meaningful data can be called as a information. So this information or the raw data processed information can be used for the process outputting. So here coming to the example, let us take the example of information what we are having here. So data coming to the information example. So the data is collected for the census. As a government, I will collect all the census information from all the people around India or any around the country. So this information can be used for the later for finding the literacy rate in the country as well as the total number of people in the state or in a region, or a number of men and women, etc. So this is called an information. So hope you understand the difference between the data and information. So both are same, but the process after the getting the information, after getting the data, so we want to do some process on it, and finally we get the information. So what a computer will do, so it also accept the input in the form of data and do the processing and finally generate information. So let us see the characteristics or advantages. Already we have seen in the last class. So there are few advantages which are used for the which can be used by the computers. So one is the speed. So already I have said in the last class. So what is the advantage of the computer is it's a high speed electronic device. So which with the help of this data which is inside the computer, we can perform large number of instructions with a less number of times. And the other advantage is a spontaneous reply or a spontaneous operations. So the computers can execute the process without the intervention of the user once they are assigned to do work. That is nothing but it's called training. So we want to give some training to a computer or train or a, we want to give some algorithm to a computer. Once the algorithm is given to a computer, it automatically do its task, or it gives a spontaneous actions based upon the algorithm what we are giving. And so these instructions or this algorithm, these algorithms can be stored inside a primary memories or even inside a secondary devices such as optical disk, hard disk, etc. And coming to the storage, so a computer has a two types of storage, or two types of memory component. That's called internal or external storages. So the secondary storage also existed. Here the secondary storage nothing but our hard disk, floppies, etc. And with the help of these storage elements, we can store large amount of data or bulk amount of data, so which can be used for processing in the future. And coming to the one more advantage, no feelings. So a computer does not have any feelings inside. As a human, there are a number of feelings or a number of human problems. A computer does not have its own any feelings or any taste or any other experiences it has. It does what the user or what the human is going to work on it. And coming to the consistency. So what is the term consistency in the sense? So people have difficulty in repeating their work in many number of times. Let us say example, a lecturer feels difficulty to repeat the same lecture in the classrooms again and again. So, but what the computer will do is it can repeat the action once again and again without any problem. So the other advantage, let us call it as a communications. So the today's mostly computers are used for having the communication between the one to other, or an end-to-end communications can be made with help of the internet facilities or intranet facilities. And coming to the diligence, so a computer can continuously work for hours without creating any error. So this property is very advantageable for us. So once a computer is working in a at the starting level, but then at the end level also it will do the same task without any disturbances. And coming to the next topic, that is the generations of the computer. So what is called generation? Uh, People, can you mute yourself? Okay. So generations. So here, yesterday I have shown some the way how a computer is designed. That is, what are the different levels or the stages that are helped to develop a computer or to invent a computer. So here there are some more methods or nothing, but it's called generations. We can call it as a generations. That is how the computer or the way the computer is developed from one stage to other stage. So here we will call it as a generations. So there are different generations we are having from starting to now at present what we are using. So here the first generation, that is the period, in this time interval we call all these computers are invented or the working computers can be comes under the first generations, and these are the different generations of the years, and finally we are at the fourth generation, and the fifth generation computers are also being existed. So let us see what are these generations in a brief. Let us come to the first generation computers. So this is a small image or a small picture which represents the first generation computers. Already I have said the starting at the beginning of the computer development or invention, the size of the computer is as a room size. So this is a small example of a first generation computer. So what is this computer can be called, or what this generation computers contains, and what is the physical element which is equipped here. So the first generation computers at the year 1942, before the invention of the
సార్ మీ వాయిస్ వినపట్లేదు సార్.
ఏం మాట్లాడలేదురా.
Yeah, the disadvantage in the first generation computers are they are very costliest and it generates lot of heat, and also it consumes lot of electricity, and they are in huge size. Already I have mentioned it is in the room size. It's elaborately in the room size, and they are frequently want to maintain. So we want to have a maintenance for frequent time, and these are the disadvantages we are having. And later on the first generation computers, so there exists the second generation or the second mode of computer, that's called here we will use the transistors in the place of vacuum tubes. The first generation computers use the vacuum tubes. So here we use a mechanism called transistor based mechanism, which is cheaper than the vacuum tubes. And here the size is also reduced, and it is more faster than the first generation computers. And once the use of transistors are there, so automatically the electricity is also consumption is also very low. And we here there is a advancement in the technology. In the first generation we have used only the machine language, that's called the system language, and later in the second generation computers there is a advancement in the technical development, that's called assembly language is introduced. So what is mean by assembly language, what is mean by machine language, so we are going to learn in the upcoming chapter, so don't be bothered. And assembly language in a sense, so which is an intermediate language between the machine to the user, that's called simply called as a assembler coding or assembler execution of the task. So these are the some disadvantages. That is, it's also very costly when compared to the first generation. It's somewhat less cost, and it is also required huge maintenance to work with. And this is the third generation computers, which is just like look like our general PCs, but there are somewhat difference here also. And this third generation computers, along with the transistors, there is a technical advancement where we use the integrated circuits, ICs, simply called as an IC. So what is called IC? What is called integrated circuit? So a component which is integrated inside a circuit or a board. So here, along with the transistors, we are using the resistors, capacitors, etc. So they are helpful for reducing the electricity power consumption as well as heat, as well as doing the actions in a fast and effective way. So by using this third generation computer technology, so what is the advantage here, sir? It is more reliable, nothing but doing the more analytic operations, and they are small in size when compared with the first generation. The size in the first generation is somewhat in a room size, and now it is reduced to our desktop model or the very short model. And then here one of the disadvantage here also is it is also very costly. And what the advantage in this type of technology is made is, so there we have started to use the magnetic disk for the storing the external storages. That means we can transfer the data from one place to other place. This property can be existed from the third generation computers. In the first and second generation computer, there is a no probability of transferring the data from one place to other place. The fixed data or fixed operations can be done at the single point where the system is located. But the third generation computers, what we are doing is we are involving a magnet disk component, and from this magnet disk component we can store the data and we can transfer the data to one place and other place. And we can also use the two different components that's called input and output devices are existed in the third generation computers. Before the third generation computer, there is no proper input units or proper output units to display. And here the invention of the mouse and keyboards are existed in the third generation computers, and still they are very costly when compared with the present computers or present PCs. They are very costliest. Now coming to the fourth generation, and just like similar to the third generation, here the cost is also reduced. And at present, from the 1975 onwards, so we are using this fourth generation computer. So what is the advancement in the fourth generation computers are? So here we are using the VLSI circuits, that is very large scale integrated circuits, and nothing but making all the chip components, all the ICs, or all placing all the ICs on a single chip. It's called nothing but a motherboard. So the existence of the motherboard at present, what we are using in our PCs or laptops are existed from this fourth generation computers technology. And here uh, a PC, or that's called personal computers, are existing. At first and second and third generation computers, all the computers are existed only at the organization level, but not at the home or any other educational levels. All the PCs or all the computers are existing only at the organization level. From the fourth generation computer or fourth generation era, that is from the 1975 onwards, so we are using our personal computers. Every system or every computers can be also be used at the user point of view or user level, or a student or any other person, a personal usage can be used for these computers. And here when compared to the other three generations, the cost is very low. And here we are using the portable operations. That is, portability can be possible. That is, we are using laptops, or we're using desktops with a low space, and they are very small in size also, and which is having the high processing speed. As we are using the very large integrated circuits, we can process the information in a large way. And coming to the disadvantages, what is the disadvantage here is, so we want to design the microprocessor chips. So at the time of 1975, or from the 1975 to 1980s or 1985, so microprocessor development is is very lagging. And later on, at the 85s or 80, at 80 to 85 at the era, so the microprocessor technology came into existence, and which changed all the revolutions, or which elaborated all the computer structures. And coming to the fifth generation, so this is the basic generation computer generations which are using present and in future also. So which is called supercomputers, or which is called high level computers. So where we are use the thinking of their own themselves, and making decisions themselves, and having the high capabilities of reasoning, and storing also very large information into it, and which also having high processing speed. And this is the one of the small example of a high speed computer, or known as a smart computer or a high speed computer. So which is comes under the fifth generation. And at 2020, or that is in 2025, from the 2025 onwards, so we are using along with the PCs, we are using the smart computers or the personal computers with a high level technology. That's called ultra large scale integrated circuits, which is having the large processing speed, as well as large parallel processing can also be done. So this is about all the generations. So that's called different era of how a computers are existing, first generation to the fifth generation. So at present, we are using the fifth generation computer. So these fifth generation computers are along with the fourth generation technology. So we are continuing to our computer development. So hope we can stop here. Anybody is having any doubts? Anybody having any doubts? Here, can you please respond?